Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Pettit, and who do I have the pleasure of talking to today?
Justin Peter Kofi Ayarabi Jones Fosu Sr., but you can call me Justin.
Justin, I was so hoping you would do that. Jessica Catherine sounds so exotic, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I like that actually. JK.
JK, Jessica Catherine. I know. Yeah, that's a thing. Okay, so let's focus. I'm really excited to talk to you, and mainly I want to talk to you because you have a fresh perspective on meaningful work, empowerment, and how that connects to engagement, diversity, and inclusion work. So we're going to start off first, two open-ended ideas rolling around in my head, no wrong answers. And the first one is the concept of diversity dividend. Usually shows up when people are talking to me about like the profits behind diversity work. So thinking about investment, action, and return, what does diversity dividend mean to you?
Oh man, that's a really good question. So diversity dividend is something very real. The profit and all that stuff that goes behind it is amazing and awesome. I guess I'd remix it and call it the people dividend, because it's all about the people. I know a lot of people who've known the business case and known how it provides profits and helps organizations with employee engagement and turnover and all that kind of stuff, and still haven't changed and done anything or shifted their culture. And so I think that for me, it's all about the people dividend. Do I care about my people? Do I care about having the best people, giving them the best place to work so that they can be creative, innovative, and help think about the business as owners versus as people who are watching their clock? So I call it the people dividend.
That's awesome. The other idea, which kind of gets to those people, but this case, yourself as a people, is asterisk other duties assigned. So the patterns that have been showing up, one is kind of emotional labor you're not paid to do, but because of who you are or what you're interested in, you want to have do also extra junk. And the other one is stuff you opt in to do to create community, self-care, burnout.
Yes.
So in your professional career, how has asterisk other duties assigned shown up?
Wow. That's a really good question. I have two different types of careers. One when I was in corporate, and one as a person who is off helping corporations now. So when I was in corporate, the extra stuff was on volunteering, helping to create things where we would do like the AIDS walk or cancer walk, breast cancer awareness. And also it was actually part of my start into this journey of I was like, hey, I volunteered to help be a part of the diversity initiative committee at our corporation, which is a financial firm, and we were just getting into thinking through this work and working with a team to do it. And so that was my asterisk extra duties. And so now as a speaker, my extra duties, in a very weird way, I actually, it's going to sound interesting, I become like a true person at the company. Like I actually, while I'm on my own, I miss being a part of corporate America a little bit. And so like I'm helping them set up. I get there like 6 a.m. if there's a conference, and my extra duties are like putting out their information and making sure that chairs and tables are together. So those are my extra duties and ways that I build community with my clients.
That's awesome. Well, and it's a good segue to your approach around how we make meaning around our engagement, right? So can you talk a little bit about your work and what you're doing in corporate settings around meaningful work and engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm flipping meaningful work on its head to help people to work meaningfully. I'm making it more of an action. Meaningful work in many ways has been somewhat passive in terms of I want to be at a place of meaningful work. And one of the things that I've been traveling across the country, I've been meeting people and talking with them about your why matters now. A lot of the conversations ended up with, in terms of like, I'm not feeling really engaged. I'm not feeling represented, and a lot of different components. And I started asking deeper questions, and I came up with this little mantra, quote, saying, whatever you want to call it, that pretty much says that it's not about finding meaning in our work. It's about bringing meaning to our work. It's not about doing work that we love. It's about loving the work that we do. It's not just about finding our passion. It's about being passionate where we currently are, because we have the power to control what we do. Now, it doesn't give an excuse for our organizations to not have inclusive environments where we can bring our best selves to work. But the effort, the focus, the excellence that I can choose to bring, while I can be very hard in a difficult place, it's our choice. We are the only ones who can control ourselves. And I've been helping people through a lot of my research in job crafting. I'm calling it tentatively the 3 rhythms, that there's 3 ways that we can each create unique rhythms to bring that meaning to our work. And so that's my approach to meaningful work, is just shifting people from an external focus to an internal focus.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But kind of segueing from that into some of my favorite questions, what is something you've changed your mind about lately, which kind of goes to that flipping things on its head, maybe?
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Yeah. So I'll actually focus this more on the D&I space, or DEI space. Ooh, look at you. Is, for me, I used to think that my approach was the only approach. I think we all go through those phases where my approach is the right approach. And then as you get more wise and you hear other people and you engage, you're like, oh, my approach is one of the approaches. And so that's something that I think over the last year or 2 years that I've really fully embraced. I mean, I take a much softer approach to DEI. I get sick in my stomach, and this may sound bad, but when I have people that identify as male and heterosexual that come up to me and say, Justin, this is the first time I felt included in a diversity and inclusion presentation. And that actually makes me mad. I started challenging people to think about it in a unique and different way. And so using prefixes, right? And what I mean by prefixes is, like, I was just in Iowa speaking to a corporation there, and I was like, have you ever heard there's no diversity in Iowa, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's actually false. There's a lot of diversity in Iowa. There may not be a lot of racial diversity at this company, and we can work through that and think through that. But when we're talking about diversity, we're normally talking about the big 3, and that's race, sexuality, and gender. And my challenge for them is that we have to broaden it. Those are very important things, and they fall under the umbrella, but we have to broaden it, because what we're unconsciously telling people is that if you don't fit one of those 3 things, you're not a part of the diversity conversation.
Right.
And so people are taking a much more passive approach if they don't fit those 3 things. And so I take a softer, heart-based approach to the conversation, and I'm very vulnerable, and I don't really care, just me personally, I don't really care about the terminology. I care about the meaning behind the terminology. And so I want people to get it and get the message. So I create different things that approach the same topic in a different way. But I've now realized that there's some people who actually need all the other stuff. They need a harder approach. They need a person.
Other people are for.
Right. And so I finally got over myself and realized that there's more than one way to approach this work.
What do you absolutely know?
I absolutely know that people matter and that humanity matters. I absolutely know that I can disagree with you, yet still respect you. I absolutely know that even if I disagree vehemently with your ideology, that I can still see your humanity if I choose to. And that's what I absolutely know, that, I'm actually sick of the do me movement. And, I'm just going to do me, boo, do me. Right. And I'm like, but when do we start doing we? Because we don't live on an island. Well, some of us don't, but
even if you live on an island, you're probably alone.
It'd pretty much be pretty cool. But like, no, how do we do we? And so I know that in the midst of our challenges, in the midst of our issues and conflict, that there's still a human being on the other side of the phone, on the other side of the computer, across the table from me, and that there's humanity there no matter what they think, believe, say, do. There's still humanity.
Yeah. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in our friendship, and I would take what you just said one step further, is the concept of the learning and the ability to be open to see the humanity is not just across the phone or the computer or the table, but the person I'm holding hands with still has a humanity of an adventure I'm yet to explore. Right? Like, no matter, and we've known each other for over a decade, and we're still learning from each other. We're still supporting one another. And to me, the scariest part of we is that we think at some point we know everybody really close to us.
Yes.
Right? But some people would rather do we with a total stranger in an elevator they never see again.
That's powerful, Jess. Yeah. We stopped staying curious. which is, what I learned from the kid on the plane who wouldn't shut up, about that courageous curiosity. And so, yeah, we when we start diving into it, you're right, we can sometimes get so focused on just being courageously curious about people outside of our own circles that we forget about being courageously curious with those inside of our circles.
It's true. All right. You ready for the lightning round?
Let's do the lightning round.
Okay, so it's very hard to tell keynoters this, but I'm going to ask you a question. They're either easy, intermediate, or deep, depending on 7, 12, and 38 are your magical numbers you've chosen.
Okay.
Whatever comes off top of your head. Number 7, easy.
Uh-huh.
If you were given $6,000 to plan your next vacation, where would you go and what would you do?
Oh, man, it's easy. I'd go back to Ghana, Accra and Kumasi, and I would get the cheapest tickets possible we could, and I give the rest to help build a school in my dad's village down in Kumasi.
Excellent. Good answer. Not surprising, I figured. Number 12, this is easy too. If you were able to pick the one thing that always makes you smile, what would it be?
My wife. We have our issues and challenges, and we had an argument this morning. But even in the midst of that, she makes me smile. And I wouldn't be the person I am today without her.
That's such a good answer.
That's real.
Play this recording for her.
I will.
if she wants to see your face.
She's like, I don't want to hear it, right?
Not today.
Treat me like it then, right?
All right. Number 38 is deep.
Okay.
What are 3 values or beliefs you hold highest?
Wow. My faith as a Christian is my number 1 belief that I hold highest. Number 2, that we happen to life, not life happens to us, which is a belief that I hold. And number 3 is that this world is bigger than us. And I don't mean like aliens and stuff like that, but that it should go outside of my own issues, my own stuff, that I should see life and people and something that's bigger than me as something that I strive for and fight for and live for.
Excellent. If people want to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
They go to the website, which is justininspires.com. And they'd actually call me, do the old-fashioned way, 704-750-5574.
Excellent. Okay, and tell us about the kid on the plane.
Yeah. So the kid on the plane who wouldn't shut up is an interesting story for me. Many years ago, I was living in Mississippi, and I was getting ready to go on like an 8-day trip, speaking like 9 different cities. And I was super tired. I'd gotten like 2 hours of sleep the night before. I may have been watching Frozen, don't judge me. And I remember I sat down, and this was a little kid in the window seat. And he was like 8 or 9 years old. And I think he was like by himself, getting ready to go visit, one of his parents or something like that. And so didn't have my noise canceling earphones on anyway. So I sit down. It wasn't 10 seconds later that this little kid just starts yapping. He's like, ah! And I'm just like, he's just talking to this lady next to us who I think was from Laos. And I'm like, yeah, why doesn't this kid shut up? Like, why does he just keep talking? And as I did what every single one of us would have done at that moment, I sat and I actually listened. And he was asking her some amazing questions about being from Laos and what's she doing here? Not in a derogatory sense of like, hey, what are you doing here? But just learning about her. And I realized this little kid was engaged with this courageous curiosity. And it really took me back to when we were 8 or 9 years old. We asked questions like we knew nothing because we were framing our world around us. And as we've gotten older and we know a little bit more, we ask questions like we know everything. Right. And this courageous curiosity and it spurred in me deeply. But not just that, he was also engaged in authentic listening. And what I loved about that, it's not active listening because I used to fake that. I just lean in and tell you what you said, but he was really genuinely listening to what you said and responding to it. And that was the power this little kid did for me, because the next flight, guess who was the kid on the plane who wouldn't shut up? Me, right? And so it was a great conversation about a really big issue and a shooting that happened in our society. And I was talking to a guy and we didn't agree, but I embraced it with courageous curiosity and I embraced it with authentic listening. And we didn't walk off the plane singing Kumbaya, but we did set up a breakfast to be able to meet and talk further and really continue to develop the conversation. And so that little kid on the plane who wouldn't shut up inspired me greatly.
Well, that is an exact replica as to why having story time with you is always great is that you're constantly learning. And one of my big principles is enter a conversation as if you're wrong and open to learning something, and your posture changes, you know? So
wow.
Thank you so much, Justin. I really appreciate you being here.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, because that was a powerful statement.
Well, it takes one to know one, friend.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.